Good evening, everyone. The November 14th, 2023 Commission meeting for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order. We welcome everybody here tonight. County Clerk, would you please take the roll for the record?
Yes, sir. District 1, Ricky Dobbs.
Present.
District 2, Kelly Robinson.
Madam Clerk, present.
District 3, Vice Chair Tarenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4, Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
I'm here, thank you. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda?
No.
County Clerk, there are none. The agenda stands as approved. We have with us today Mr. Joe Fowler, who, by the way, I went to school with. He's older than me. To lead us in our invocation, and please stand afterward for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Father in heaven, we thank you for the privilege of serving our community. We thank you that you've called out gifted men and women for a specific service, and we thank you that you've gifted each one of them to serve in unique ways. We acknowledge you as the King of nations and the ruler of all mankind. We pray for your presence tonight. Give wisdom to these gifted men and women as they seek to serve your citizens. We pray for Commissioner Dobbs and his service. We ask you to bless him and bless all of those who are engaged in the conflicts about which we've heard so much recently. Thank you for your guidance and wisdom. We pray in your name. Amen. The Republic, nation, God, visible, liberty for all.
You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. Fowler. As a reminder, each commissioner will have 3 minutes to make remarks and a 2-minute rebuttal. Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for public comment?
No, Chairman, not for public comment, but we will have people sign in for public hearing.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the minutes of the commission meeting for October the 31st, 2023. The work session minutes for October the 30th, 2023. The executive session minutes for October the 30th, 2023. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made? Being none, the minutes stand as approved. We have a financial report for the month of October. Are there any objections? Yes, sir, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No objections, but during our Finance Committee, included during public comment, I'd like to know the status of the audit for 2022. Question should be answered for the public, and because the seriousness of today, what is the standing of the audit for 2022, since we're going to be making decisions on the 2024 budget?
Okay.
So either the CFO or the county administrator must address my question.
Good afternoon. The audit of 2022 would be completed by the end of this year.
This year, all right. So the goal was usually about mid-year. We bought some time, and so what happens if, in fact, we don't make that audit by the end of the year? What happens? Is there any consequences or penalties?
No, we get approval from the state. Each time we file for an extension, we would have to file for another extension if that happens.
Why do we have to have an extension now? What was the purpose, and how many extensions were there?
From June.
Yeah, go ahead.
From June, they automatically give you to the end of the year. So if you ask for an extension, your first extension goes to December at the end of the year.
And why did we need an extension?
Again, it was due to manpower and the skill set that's within the finance department. You have one person that is responsible for an entire audit, and that becomes challenging.
You know, we talk about insourcing versus outsourcing. We have auditors that come in, and again, this is the area that I think is important. Auditing is important. We need to have somebody to match that. Duly noted, I just had to make that for the record for the board. I won't belabor this moment, 12:31, but that's something like we should be more efficient by this time. This is something that we know this is coming every year. I'm back to proper planning. All I need. Thank you, Director. You're fine. Mr. Chair, I yield, sir.
Okay, Rosalind, just 1 second. Didn't we have some people, the departments within the county that refused to comply with the request for the audit?
That is correct. That is one of the areas that has delayed the audit.
Okay, how long of a delay would you say that was?
I would say that was probably 3 months.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to mention any names, but I knew about that delay, so I just wanted to let you know. Okay, we have Jasmine Moore here to read a proclamation. Did I forget to? Okay. Let me backtrack just a little bit. The financial report, with exception to what you have had to say, is approved. Okay. We have Jasmine Moore here to read the proclamation proclaiming December the 3rd, 2023 as International Day of Persons with Disabilities in Douglas County. We welcome you, Jasmine.
Good evening. I'll first start by reading the proclamation. Whereas just 27 years ago, the United States Capitol had no wheelchair ramps to enter the building, and activists staged a demonstration as a plea to lawmakers to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act. Whereas, as part of the demonstration, activists forced themselves out of their wheelchairs and crawled up the steps of the United States Capitol as a plea for them to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act. Whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 was created to prohibit discrimination against individuals within several areas of life, including employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and access to state and local government programs and services. Whereas all too often, the needs of citizens with disabilities are not at the forefront of the minds of the public and those who are not directly affected by a disability. Whereas December 3rd is a day to shed light and foster compassion and understand more accessible, the fight is not over. Whereas on this day, we future in which all members of our community with a disability can enjoy their full rights and freedoms. Whereas we are committed to providing a community that supports diversity and encourages inclusion in all aspects of life. Whereas we are committed to embracing the diverse abilities of all of our citizens and supporting those abilities. Whereas we recognize and welcome the contributions these citizens bring to this community. Now therefore be it resolved that we, or you, the chairman of Douglas County and the members of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Douglas County, do hereby proclaim December 3rd as International Day for Persons with Disabilities in Douglas County and reaffirm this county's commitment to creating a community that honors and includes all members of our community. So proclaim this 14th day of November 2023.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the proclamation as read.
So
Do
moved.
we?
Second.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? Yes, sir, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for reading the proclamation, and all the citizens that are here and online, welcome. Obviously, a person with disability, important, I get it. Live my life to not be able to see this agenda and still perform. To be included but not to be excommunicated. To be accepted as is. As is. That's important for normalcy, for us to promote an atmosphere. And I appreciate everybody in this county that have shown me the grace and understanding of what it means to live a quality of life that is equal. I can't see the grass that y'all see in front of your houses or the beautiful cars you drive. But I know what love is. I know what a God is. I know how to interact with my peers to bring value, as Joe Fowler brought in his sermon. I understand. So I do appreciate that, but you have to create the atmosphere, because it can go aside real easy. You can marginalize people because they're different. And that you have to fight for that. And I think the 88 to be passed. I mean, me even getting transportation for Uber, like, guys, you get it? We joke about it, we politicize it, but no, I take it like, it's federally protected, right? And that's important. So those who make those commentaries, like, okay, ease up on the comments. It's protected. And so I celebrate this moment. I thank you for the proclamation. I've made my point, and Mr. Chair, thank you so much, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thank you, dear. Can we come down and take a photograph?
Can I say something else?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to take a moment and say something.
Okay.
Good evening, Chairman Miller, Board of Commissioners, and members of this great community that are present today. A while ago, I went to Shepherd Center to get my wheelchair serviced. There was a gentleman there getting an electric wheelchair for the very first time. He was so excited. It brought back memories of when I received my very first chair. While reminiscing, I was interrupted with the thought of how many unknown new challenges that will come with this newfound freedom and adventure. Will there be accessible buttons on buildings, and will they actually work? Will there be an accessible bathroom stall big enough to close the door and safely and comfortably get on and off the toilet with my new chair? Will the sink and soap be low enough for me to even wash my hands? Will there be parking spots available? My nonprofit organization, Grateful Hands, was founded to educate, advocate, and empower. My life's experiences having a diverse ability have been disheartening and disappointing at times. But I am so grateful for them because it gave me this platform. Grateful Hands and its mission, bridging the gap between individuals with disabilities and the world through education, advocacy, and empowerment, are so personal and important to me. At Grateful Hands, we vow to use our voice and our hands to make a difference in our community. To put in context, just 27 years ago, the United States Capitol had no wheelchair ramps. I'm 28 years old, so that's not that long before I was born. So they had no wheelchair ramps to even enter the buildings, and they staged a demonstration. This is a very monumental moment for me, and not just for me, but for all the other numerous citizens of Douglas County that have a disability. We have a long way to go, however, recognizing this day in Douglas County helps to bridge that gap. In my conclusion, I want to leave everyone with this quote. We are asking not simply for one day of amplification for disabled voices, but for a lifetime of the inclusion we have fought for. Thank you, Chairman Miller, Board of Commissioners, and Douglas County for making Douglas County a more inclusive community for all of its citizens.
Let me just say that we're glad to have you in this community and glad that you work here. And I look forward to seeing the things that are going to happen as a result of your leadership as far as it compares to handicaps.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we take a photo?
Sure.
Are we to vote yet? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
We can electronic vote.
Chairman, mine's not coming up on the computer. Mine's not coming up on the computer.
Yeah, we had that problem with Commissioner Carthen as well. If you want to just tell us your vote, we'll enter it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
My right hand is raised.
We got it, Ricky. Passed 5-0.
Thank you so much. Let's. Okay, we have a second proclamation. We have Joey Rainwater and Cam Floyd here to read a proclamation proclaiming the week of November the 16th through the 23rd of 2023 as Farm City Week in Douglas County. Welcome, folks.
Thank y'all once again for allowing us this year to come and to read the proclamation. I'm thankful this year that I'm not standing by myself. If I could, I'd like to introduce the one
Please
that'll be
do.
reading the proclamation, but also I have with me tonight one of our board members, Brandon Seal, and
Brandon.
my wife, and representing our women's chair our committee, Lisa Rainwater, and then Cam Floyd's going to read the proclamation for us. But I'd like to just briefly explain why I've asked him to read the proclamation tonight. The proclamation is specifically stating that, talking about the collaboration between farmer and consumer. And Cam is not only a restaurant owner, but he's also hands-on, boots on the ground, collaborating with farmers and restaurants to bring fresh produce and local produce and commodities to the consumer. And a lot of his work that he does is on a volunteer basis. And so he's put in a lot of volunteer hours. With our organization in the District 3 of the Georgia Farm Bureau organization, he has won Volunteer of the Year in that district. And also just to briefly mention his farmers market that he's put together, the Maize Farmers Market is now one of the largest in the Southeast. I don't know if that's exactly, it's stated anyways, vocalized that it's one of the largest. And he contributes the money and contributions from that to our schools that have agriculture programs in their schools. and last year donated a good bit of money to the Alexander FFA program through that farmers market. So that's why I've asked Cam to read our proclamation this year, is because he's just putting in a lot of time, effort, and resources into exactly what our proclamation is stating. So I'd like to.
Thank you, Joey. He usually doesn't. I usually feel as if I'm not doing enough, so he always gives me a little more credit than I feel I deserve. Thank you all for having us here. Good to see you again, Mark. So to start this out, whereas American farmers and ranchers literally help feed the world by producing a bounty of agricultural products. To do this, they rely on essential partnerships with urban and suburban communities to supply, sell, and deliver finished products across the county, and as well as across the country, around the world. Rural and urban communities working together have made the most of our nation's rich agriculture resources as they contribute to the health and well-being of our state, our county, our country, and the strength of our economy. And whereas during the National Farm City Week, we recognize the importance of the cooperative network. Nationwide, agriculture employs more than 21 million workers, including farmers and ranchers, shippers, processors, marketers, retailers, truck drivers, inspectors, and others who annually contribute more than $1 trillion to our gross domestic product. In 2021, agriculture-related industries contributed to $73.2 billion and 827 jobs to the Georgia economy. And whereas the agriculture industry provides us with food, clothing, and shelter, as well as fuel for our energy needs, as we welcome new opportunities for trade, the hard work and successful cooperation between farmers and city workers will continue to play a vital role in our state and our nation's future. And whereas farm-city collaborations help maintain and improve our food and fiber supply and contribute to a better quality of life for our countless citizens, we commend the many Americans whose hard work and ingenuity reflect the true spirit of America and help to ensure prosperous futures for all. And whereas this week, as we gather with family and friends around the Thanksgiving table, it is fitting that we count among our blessings the vital farm-city partnerships that have done so much to improve the quality of our lives. Therefore, we do proclaim November 16th, 2023, the Farm City Week. We call upon citizens in rural and urban areas to acknowledge and celebrate the achievements of all those working together, produce and supply our community and nation with an abundance of agricultural products. So proclaimed this 14th day of November 2020.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation as read?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. You guys ought to come up and get a photograph taken.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a third proclamation. We have Lisa Meek here to read a proclamation proclaiming the month of November the 2023 as American Indian Heritage Month in Douglas County. And I'm going to interrupt you just a second. I found out yesterday, my sister is doing an Ancestry.com or whatever that's called. And my fifth great-grandmother or grandmother was Cherokee Princess Moitoy. So, and I'm told by this lady in the back, that was the head so-and-so, is that right? The
Cherokee
head chief?
chief,
Yeah, but anyway, that's kind
daughter
of
of
neat.
Cherokee Chief.
That's kind of neat, so, we have something in common. Go
There
ahead.
you go.
Go ahead, dear.
Okay. Thank you for allowing us to do this. Proclamation, Douglas County Board of Commissioners, National American Indian Heritage Month. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous peoples, and whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas, in honor of National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations, as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now, therefore, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners do hereby recognize November 2023 as the National American Indian Heritage Month in Douglas County, and urge all of our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. So proclaimed this 14th day of November 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation as read?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you so much. All in favor?
Madam Clerk, Manuel, yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Yeah. Would you like to come up and get a photograph?
Please, sir.
We'd love to have you. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we're coming to you.
On the tip, no. It's all right.
Okay, we have a public hearing. Number one, we have a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Douglas County Code of Ordinances regarding Chapter 6, Buildings, Construction, and Related Activities. Article 7 is the Plumbing Code, Section 6-80, and James Worthington is here to present. Hello, James.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As read, this is a request to approve the adoption of a proposed local amendment to the plumbing code for water efficiency. The Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District consists of 15 counties and 96 cities in the metro Atlanta area. And we're represented by the Water and Sewer Authority as their executive director, Gil Shearhouse, is on their board. The Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District has requested that all of its affiliates adopt this model local amendment by January 1st of 2024. Currently, Douglas County follows the state by adopting the International Plumbing Code and has no local amendments. And in order to adopt a local code amendment, it must first be reviewed by the Department of Community Affairs, which has been completed. The primary water efficiency requirement changes include kitchen faucets currently are at 2 gallons per minute maximum, and they shall not exceed 1.8 gallons per minute. Lavatory faucets currently are at 1.5 gallons per minute, and they shall not exceed 1.2. And shower heads are currently at 2.5 gallons per minute, shall not exceed 2 gallons per minute. It also includes changes to landscape irrigation controls, including flow sensors, rain sensors, and water sense controllers. According to the district, these devices are already currently readily available and comparable at price. So at the request of the district, I'm recommended that this board consider adopting these local amendments.
Okay. Does it require individuals to go buy this stuff themselves?
No, sir. On code changes like this, we would inspect these during new construction. But once you're in, you're in. So we don't go back.
We're all grandfathered in if we live here?
Correct.
Okay. All right, we will now open the public hearing to hear from our citizens. Are there any citizens that would like to speak regarding this amendment? Okay, having none, the public hearing is closed. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Just don't mess with my shower. Do we have a motion to adopt a local amendment to the Georgia State Minimum Standard Plumbing Code for Chapter 2, Section 202, General Definitions, Chapter 6, Section 604.4, Maximum Flow and Water Consumption, Chapter 13, Section 1304, Reclaimed Water Systems, and Appendix E, Section E101.1.2. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I think you have to repeat all this.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
County clerk, yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
All right. Next is a public hearing number 2. We have a public hearing regarding the 2024 budget. Rosalind Miller is here to present. Good evening.
Good evening. So first, I would like to just go over the timeline. So we started the budget first, as you may know, that we're on a calendar year. So we budget from January 1st through December. So this is a proposal for 2024 calendar year. We started the process back in July. We submitted a memo requesting the budgets from each department, and we received in 160 million worth of requests. It was about, out of that, it was $8 million worth of additional heads and raises. So from there, we review each request and we look at trending, and also based off of the board's priorities. And that goes from July through where we are now, November the 14th. So we are presenting the 2024 proposed budget. And this is the very first stages of the budget, of actually coming up with the dollar amount. And once we get in the presentation, you'll hear 127 million, 127.2 million a lot, because that is your proposed budget. And how we came about that number is based off of our fiscal control policy, that your revenue shall not exceed 100% of your prior year collection. So that the 127.2 million is based on 2023's projected revenue, which was calculated based off of the millage that was passed late August. So we back into our expenditures, we're backing into the budget. So we know that our budget cannot be any more than 127.2 million. So our revenue and expenditures must tie, and this is based off of law for your general fund budget. Your revenue and expenditures must balance, and that's what's called a balanced budget. Within your 2024 proposed budget, this is based off of the current millage rate. There's, of course, no growth, and it's a balanced budget. That's what the 127.2 represents. Also, I must note that December the 4th, the board will be approving the 2024 budget. However, the millage rate for this budget would not be approved until September of 2024. So that's one of the reasons why the fiscal policy is important, not to approve a budget that is more than your proposed revenue. But with that number, we're stating no growth. Millage rate is remaining the same. And where the money comes from. This is your general fund revenue. The biggest portion is about 65%, and that is your property tax. The next is lost, which is sales tax, and that is at 16%. Now, this is a 1% sales tax on purchases. It also provides property tax relief. So if you look on your tax bill and it's on the right-hand side, the second column to the right, you'll see a column that states credit. Because of the loss, the county is able to provide a credit to the property tax, provide them with a relief on their property tax. The next is other taxes and other, also it's the TAVT, which is also known as your vehicle tax. So when you go and title your vehicle, it's usually about 7%. I think they have increased it, the state increased it to about 7%. So the county gets a portion of that, and that is about 7% of the revenue. And then other taxes is prior year taxes, real estate transfers, and personal intangible. Where the money goes. Again, your general fund budget main priority is public safety. You have public safety at 33%. General government is receiving 34% of the revenue. General government, just to name a few departments, is finance, HR, IS, tax commissioner, legal, and elections. Out of the public safety pie, at the 33%, majority of it is the sheriff's department. It's the coroner and the sheriff's department. The sheriff gets about 99% of that $41.4 million. Then you have public works, which is at 9.1 million, and that's road and maintenance, traffic operations, and the fleet department. Health and welfare at 3.2 million. You have CSB, Family and Children's Services, and the Senior Center. The next is a calculation of fund balance, and we also have a policy to state to provide capital, general fund capital, because what our next slide, you'll see some of the key highlights of the 2024 budget, and one item is there's no capital in what's presented today in the 2024. However, there is funding for capital, and that comes from the fund balance. So the fund balance policy, we're anticipating for in 2023 to end at with the 3.8 million going into fund balance. So your expenses are less than your revenue. At the end of 2022's fund balance is projected to be 49.2 million. So we call unassigned fund balance. It's with, if you add the 3.8 to the 49.2 million, you'll get an unassigned fund balance of $53 million. And unassigned fund balance just means that this money, the 53 million, can be used for operations for general fund. So the policy states that if your fund balance, which is the 53 million, exceeds 15% of your expenditures, which it does, the 53 million is 43%. So it's way over 15. So therefore, you're allowed to set aside 30% from that fund balance number for capital. And so for 2024, we're anticipating that the capital set aside would be 10.2 million for capital. However, we have to reduce it off of the 53 million, and your new fund balance would be 42.8 million. That's about 4 months of expenditures for general fund. And it's 35% of your expenditures. So some key highlights for 2024. As I mentioned, the budget is balanced, and this is without the use of fund balance. There's over $400,000 that has been allocated to building and maintenance for the upkeep, and this will ensure a safe and good working environment for employees and the citizens. Also, this is an election year for standard, for 2024, it is election year for standard and presidential. There is a total of 5 elections. Normally there's 4, but there is a total of 5. And each election costs about $300,000. So you have over $1 million in the proposed budget for elections. The next is 2% increase. Your proposed budget is about 2% over last year's 2023's approved budget. So that's about $2.3 million more. A good portion of it is what I've mentioned, the elections. Also the building and maintenance. Also there is money allocated for mowing, for 8 mowing times or sections, and also I-20 landscape. Also, we are enforcing the fiscal control guidelines, as I mentioned, with the fund balance, and also staying within last 2023's revenue and not going over. There's no change in service delivery in your 2024 proposed budget. No additional heads, no additional staff has been added to the 2024 proposed budget. And also there's no capital. However, as I mentioned on the previous slide, you do have out of a different fund, $10 million. And we had over 20 million in requests for capital. The next we call other funds or special revenue funds and also restricted funds. Majority of these funds receive revenue through the law or user fees. So the budget is strictly based off of the activity or what is occurring in that fund. Finance does not cut any items on this budget. It's either strictly based off of last year's, or if the department has indicated to us exactly what they're spending the funds for. But the funds are restricted and can only be used for that purpose, whatever it's listed, and majority of them are based off of the law. The next, your capital funds. General fund does not have any capital funds. However, just as I mentioned, the fund balance policy, you also have your capital transportation fund and your 2 SPLOST. You still have funding in your 2016 SPLOST, and the 2022 SPLOST was just passed, so you also have funding there for capital projects. The next is enterprise funds, and enterprise funds are based off of fees. Again, it's not general funds, and any funds listed on this page is totally separate from general fund. But you have Connect Douglas, and you have the Solid Waste Fund. And again, finance does not cut any of these funds. It's based off of the request of the department. And then, of course, the internal service fund. The county is self-insured for their health care, so we actually, make payments for claims. So we do have a set aside. We set that money aside, so we will have, be able to pay the county's claims. And that's also with workers' comp. And again, these are just the list of all general fund departments. I've mentioned the increases. I can also mention where it was about 1.3 worth of reduction when you compare last year's budget, and that was with CSB. It was, last year it was budgeted for 1.2 million. In your proposed budget, it's listed at 600,000. Also with IS, we have several projects that are going on that has different funding sources, and ARPA is still paying some of the projects. The projects have to be totally complete once we add it to our general fund. So it was a $700,000 reduction for IS, and that was in their maintenance line item. And as I mentioned with the timeline, the next date would be December the 5th. So we have until today, till December the 5th, for changes, amendments to this proposed budget. On December the 5th, it is scheduled for the 2024 budget is scheduled for adoption at 10 a.m. That's all I have for the 2024 proposed budget.
We will open the public hearing to hear from our citizens. Are there any citizens that would like to speak regarding the 2024 budget?
Point of order, rules.
Yes, while you're coming up, I'll just remind the public, when you reach the microphone, please restate your name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once you've reached your 3 minutes, you will be reminded to wrap up your comment. And when you approach the mic, please speak directly into the mic.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I was approached by advocates in the north side.
I'm sorry, can you state your name, please?
Reverend Michael Springer, 6397 Forestdale Lane, Douglasville. I was approached by advocates in the north side to canvass the local churches because they had a concern that as the new budget come forward, that there will be cuts in the funding for Connect Douglas, the bus line that is so seriously needed in our areas, especially the low-income areas. I have worked in both the city and the county. For 15 years, I worked with disabled citizens and mental health citizens, helping them and training them to be able to live on their own. For the past 3 years, as I work with Volunteers of America, we have trained them to leave their homes, to leave their apartments, and overcome their fears and learn how to ride the buses that have been afforded to them that come through our communities. It's taken 3 years for them to learn how to walk to the bus stops. They stand out there in the heat of the summer. They stand out there in the cool of the winter, and they wait on these buses. I've seen them with pride stand there and catch the bus, and they go to the local areas. They go to the malls. They go to their doctor's appointments. They go to various things throughout both the city and the county. And I was told that funding for this service will be cut. And all I am doing tonight is just voicing my opinion. Do not take these services away from our disabled. Do not take the services away from our seniors. Do not take the services away from our citizens of both city and county. They stand there with pride. Many stand at the bus stops with their new uniforms on. They were able to go and apply for jobs. They were able to go and get further education. They were able to go and become productive citizens in this county. I have been part of this county all of my life. I have been in. Is that my time? Okay. I just want you to be able to remember that we need this service, both for the disabled citizens, mental health citizens, and whoever else that comes within our county. There are many that really need these services, and they cannot be afforded to be cut. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Medina. I live at 3426 Spring Ridge Drive, Douglasville. This is regarding public transportation. As an SME on public transit, I want to protest the cutting of the budget for Connect Douglas. We have fought for this service for years. When we finally get it, the opposing side puts every obstacle in the way of its success. This includes putting opponents of the service on the governing and advisory board, blocking improvements that have been advocated for ever since the service launched. The list of improvements is not complicated. Number 1, better signage. Number 2, curbside markings. Number 3, schedule and trip sheets. Number 4, shelters. We have made these recommendations before in more detail, but we've been seeing merely tiny improvements in these categories, if any. Cutting the budget will only make it hard to accomplish these simple methods for making it a more viable service for our community. We seriously oppose these drastic budget cuts to the Connect Douglas bus service. As a retired mass transit engineer, I have perused our Connect Douglas transit system and analyzed the flaws that inhibit access to those needing and wanting to use the service. Here are some of the points that tend to render the system user-unfriendly. Poor signage, bus stop signs are too small, colors blend in with the foliage. Studies show that colors are important to attract attention when dealing with target audiences of seniors, disabled, etc. It is important that the signage is large enough to compensate for those with vision and reading challenges. Curbside markings. Number 2, curbside markings should be highly visible. When the bus approaches the stop, the driver knows to slow down and pull over for passengers. As it is now, drivers eyeball the postage size bus stop, and just fly by. These bus stops have unremarkable markings and no schedules attached to the post to let riders know when the bus is scheduled to come. Reflective curb paint is usually used to mark the bus stops. Number 3, schedule. Each stop needs to have an approximate time it takes from one stop to the next, which is how a departure to arrival schedule is established and should include complete round-trip information on each route, the daily trip sheets, because time schedules are created sometimes by weather conditions, estimated time it takes to each bus stop. Example, 10 minutes between Beaumont and Lee Road. 10 minutes. Southbound, so if departure and arrival times. Number 4, shelters, covered shelters. Example, Carroll County's bus and van clear shelters are needed, preferably with benches, which would also help to identify stops. Dispatches are needed to maintain a schedule and communicate with the drivers so they will know what's happening on their routes or reroutes. Gas monitoring, running on time, etc. Establish call letters for each driver's trip. This may be happening internally, but from a service user's viewpoint, it is not clear that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Next.
Good evening. My name is Gwendolyn Parker. I reside in District 2. My address is 4380 Split Creek Drive. I am a senior citizen, and I have worked all my life. I pay taxes. I'm a good citizen. But I have peripheral disability. So I don't drive. So I need the services that Connect Douglas offers. I am a thriving member of this community. I like to go places and do things, and I like to participate. But I have a need for this transportation because before it came, I was hindered. I couldn't move about the way I wanted to. So I'm asking that the senior citizens like me, and in this community, there are a lot of us. Give us the mobility. Don't cut the budget that would cut our mobility. Give us the mobility because we are thriving members of this community. You need us, just like we need you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Any more comments? Hello.
Good evening. Ingrid Landis Davis, 1670 Harvest Hill, District 4, Commissioner Alcaraz's district. Yesterday at the commission meeting, a young lady spoke on the coroner's operation and the probate office budgets. She declared that they did not need the requested funds and recommended cutting their budgets. She did not present any information or data to back up her claim, nor did she state that she was a subject matter expert in the fields. The claim against the coroner's office are not new and were refuted in 2019 with an expert analysis, I have a copy of it here, an investigation by two highly credentialed PhDs in the field of governance. And like I said, I have a copy if any commissioners are not familiar with it. The report states clearly states necessities of upgrading the coroner's office, which Coroner Godwin has undertaken over these years. Further, the probate office, as she called it, is no longer an office, but because of increased county population, it is now a required full-service probate court. Our probate judge came under immediate attack from other judges, one of whom admitted under oath at our judicial hearing that he did not try to mentor or guide her because he had no idea how to run a probate court. So now our very same probate court has been recognized for its excellent operations by the statewide agency whose job it is to measure the court's performance. Judge Peterson is a constitutional officer, and she has done an excellent job, really in the face of excellent job of establishing and setting up the probate court. And actually, that's been in the face of breathtakingly prejudicial opposition. Cutting her budget should not be on the table when no data or other information is available to justify that action. Other than "I don't like her," and that's a quote from former Douglas County Head Superior Court Judge. So we're asking that the consideration be given to both the coroner and the probate judge that's fair in this budgeting process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Pastor Darrell Moman. I'm the pastor of Old Mountaintop Baptist Church here in Douglas County.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be here to say my little say and talk to y'all wonderful people. I just want to bring a little something up that I bring up all the time. 1865, slavery was over. (1965), we were able to vote black people for the first time. A speech came in 55, 57. They say, give us the ballot and we won't ask you for nothing. We'll just vote our concerns and those that care about what we care about. It took 8 years before that happened that we finally got our right to vote. And that happened in that August the 6th, 100 years after slavery, that we finally got our chance to vote. Now that we got the chance to vote here in Douglas County, we vote people that have our concern. And the thing about that is we want you to really have the real concern, not about the budget, not if it's safe, not be politicians about if it is it popular, but we want you to vote off your conscience, and your conscience deal with what is right. And when you in leadership position, and I have to say this in all respect, I don't like when the governor sends somebody to sit in place of a place and sift through Douglas County floors, and all they come up with is a white guy and a black guy, and put the white guy over all everybody, as though this county don't have enough people to be able to stand strong as far as a county that have voted certain things. Now, it would have been different if we would have put the black guy in the place with the white guy in the place, like they did in slavery, where they had somebody sitting on a horse with a whip that they cracked and made them work from can't see morning to can't see night. I want to tell you, slavery is over. We can conduct ourselves. And we don't need nobody to make you feel worse because they still think you can't handle your county. 2 people being taken down, other folks still being looked at, only because we voted our concern. And I just want you to remember, Vote your conscience.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a comment? Having none, the public hearing is now.
We do, we have
Sorry.
some more.
Oh, okay. Hello, dear.
Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive. Thanks for allowing me to speak. There were a couple of things in the proposed budget that I have questions about. First, I will talk about the Tax Commission. In 2018, after Commissioner Baker had been in office for a year, his budget was $1.5 million. Today, his proposed budget is $2.8 million. Our county population has only increased 12%, but his budget increased by $1.3 million. He has doubled the staff, creating more salaries and benefit expenses that we, the citizens, have to pay for. The Paulding County Tax Commissioner 2024 proposed budget is $1.5 million. They have a larger population. Why is Commissioner Baker needing more than $1 million more to accommodate less people? Next, I will talk about the coroner budget. In 2018, her budget was $145,500. That is $100,000 more than the previous coroner's budget. Her budget has grown to $628,949, with an increase over last year. My question is why? Her first year in office, she did 319 investigations. In 2022, the coroner's office investigated 394 deaths, and so far as of September 2023, 279 deaths had been investigated. That's only about 75 more deaths a year. Why does it take $500,000 more? I don't think the service is better. The Paulding County Coroner's budget is only $169,340 for the 2024, which is $500,000 less than our coroner's budget. I have looked at the deputy coroner's receipts, and I saw overcharges and double charging in 2022. The citizens should not have to pay a $75 or $100 charge to release bodies to the funeral homes. The coroner and the part-time assistant should be doing that. Over $300,000 of the coroner's budget goes to the payroll of her 10 deputies. Most counties of our size only have 4 coroner deputies. Our coroner violates the law because she does not do the investigations. Our coroner does not attend the public safety meetings. She does not present her own budget. I am not sure what she does to deserve that $60,000 salary for a part-time job. According to the October finance report, she has spent only half of her budget. There's only 2 months to go in this year. Is she going to spend the other half of her budget in only 2 months? Last, I would like to speak about the commissioner budgets. Last year, after the budget public hearing, the commissioners added $50,000 to their budgets for expenses. I think this violates Georgia Law 36-5-24 that states commissioners have to advertise in the paper and wait 1 year for the added funds to take effect. I noticed that the District 4 Commissioner this year reduced his budget by $83,938. I think the other commissioners should take larger reductions in their budgets and put the money into the Community Service Board budget. On this agenda, you have a resolution for mental health. The CSB is the county's only main resource for mental health assistance. Put your money where your mouths are. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. More and more Douglas County citizens are needing help. I would rather see my tax dollars helping the needy. It is time to cut these budgets back to lower taxes. Give us back our 27%. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? The public hearing is now closed. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Robinson.
Right, get to work. Thank you guys for coming out for your public comment. I always enjoy this period of time, and to my fellow peers that may not have experienced this before. It is a process, and interesting comments. You know, I'm gonna come back to a couple of them, but this is not easy. Think about it. Now, I appreciate a school system, hear me, that 7% of the tax dollars goes there for 25,000 kids. Right? I'll call it like I said, taking care of the kids. But we've got to deal with what? The other 100-something thousand population with less than almost 20% of the overall tax dollar. And here we are, we're responsible for 64 functions of government. Right, we got to spread this out. Now, I appreciate, and I just want to frame that for you, that this ain't easy. And when I listen to comments about the corner, the smallest budget, 0.1% of public safety, just move on. That's a bully. If you want to be political, just win the race. You don't have to go after somebody like that. It's pathetic. Bad. That ain't Douglas. No. Next question, as relates to mental health. I'm with y'all on that. Now, again, I get past it. You have commentaries like, I mean, I'm looking at this budget. I'm like, and by the way, I am the firstborn of the voting rights. Think about it. I was born in August 6th. What? 66. My race has only been voting in what? My lifetime. Do I get it? Now, here I am. So when I hear and I'm looking at budgets that move against a more unique or inclusive, I'm looking at, well, whose hand was on this? It wasn't by itself. I mean, who is involved in not being sensitive to the fact that it is a very diverse county? Everybody hasn't been here all their life. There's other people that moved in here. Guys, it can coexist. There's enough room in here to coexist. The way you move and move on each other, and again, I'm not finished. I'm going to deal with the internal. It's about the inside. It's who's moving levers, who are disconnected from this. So it ain't just the board. I'm just seeing this. Oh, you ain't seeing nothing yet by the time I get done by this next meeting? Because this is something like, okay, you must be out your mind. You not hear the citizens to even think that it would be at this state that y'all have to come out and talk about this? As if you're doing something good? As if you care? But I digress. I like the idea, though. I do believe that the legal services should be cut. I got this, Lisa. Give me a little rebuttal, little time, guy. $500,000. I can spread that. Or I can make this up real quick with my eyes closed. I'm gonna take. I've got a proposal, you guys, to my peers. We will all submit our tabs, what we think should be done. We'll reconcile this at our next meeting. What I got a plan, though. So I think I can get there. So I'm going to yield for right now, guys. We get to come back on this because this is going to be good. Because some of this, what you're looking at, it can't be passed. I yield, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Vice Chair.
Thank you. Rosalind.
So the proposed budget that we are asked to adopt will be $127.2 million. Will we have to do a TAM, given the fact that we will have about $49 million in our reserve fund? Will we have to do a tax allocation note to float us, or will we do what we've done this past year and do it without a TAM?
Yeah, it's getting close. I would, let me take a look at it, if it's going to be based off of the numbers that I presented, and I'll be able to provide you with an answer. But it is getting close because of that number is coming down.
Got you. The capital fund, as it stands now, if this proposed budget is passed as presented by the chairman and the administration, We will put 10.2 million into the capital fund. What is the capital fund sitting at today?
3 million.
So we will have possibly a proposed 13.2 million.
That is correct.
And you stated we had $20 million worth of capital improvement projects requested.
Yes, that we received requests from.
Okay, so that wouldn't even cover the proposed request. I think most people well, maybe they do understand that those proposed capital requests are really improvements around all of the buildings, things that we need to do within the community that's aging out.
That is correct.
Okay, so there was $8 million, you said, in requested people and pay increases?
Yes.
Is that on top of what the Board of Commissioners just gave when we gave the Sheriff's Department their raise?
Yes.
That is on top of what we just gave them? And Sheriff, my next question will be to you. Did you include that in this budget or no?
The request?
Yes.
I think there's a list of what the requests are, but we didn't approve $7 million. If we
That's
were
right.
to, where would we get it?
Okay. I'm just
Oh,
asking.
that's good, yeah.
Okay, so it was not.
It was not.
It was not approved.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then on the proposed cuts to one of the things that's near and dear to my heart, which is CSB, right? Again, one of the things that I don't want us to do is grow government, because every time we grow government, we do have those benefits. We have to pay into pension. A lot goes with growing government. So I'm always in favor of making sure that we utilize groups such as CSB, who utilize other 501c3s in the county. County government cannot do everything. We just don't have enough. Commissioner Robinson said it. We only collect about 27% of the tax bill that you see. The majority of that tax bill goes to the school board. It does not come to the county. Yet we have to function off what we're given and make cuts and do the best we can. So to me, CSB is not what we should cut. I'm in agreement with others who stated we should not be cutting Connect Douglas, right? These are forward-facing services that we give to the county. So when you cut Parks and Rec, when you cut CSB, when you cut the Connect Douglas or any of those proposed services, well, that's what the people who are actually paying the taxes get to experience. So I am in favor of raising CSB back up to the 1.2 million. I'm hopeful that the administration and the sheriff can see where sheriff can see where we will get that money, just so that we can make sure that those mental health services and the ridership services are not cut. I yield.
In regards to CSB, we have said all along that if they will comply with what the ARPA requires them to do, we will adjust their budget accordingly. If they don't, folks, we've got to pay that money back. That's the information that I got from our county administrator. We're not trying to cut services. We're trying to get people to comply with the law. And that's wrong of me. If it is, y'all are wrong. We're doing the right thing as far as CSB is concerned. You can't have it yet. There is no planned reduction in Connect Douglas. Where you got that, I don't know. But in this budget, there is no.
That's right. And it's based off of Connect Douglas's request. Now, if their request came in lower, I'll take a look at it to see, but finance or the county administrator did not cut Connect Douglas. That's what they requested. And I know that they're working on a strategic plan, so I know that budget will probably come back before the board for an increase to, follow that strategic plan for more, rides or.
And it offends me, Mr. Robinson says it offended him, that we're picking on the coroner's office. There ain't nobody picking on the coroner's office. Carroll County, who's got more people than Douglas County's budget's $159,000 a year for their coroner. Paulding County is $169,000. Forsyth County is $150-something thousand. That's 3 counties with larger populations than we have, and you're wanting me to give her, and I don't care what color she is. Somebody's got to get away from that at some point in time. But we're giving her $500,000 more every year, and that's okay with you. Is that right? I just want to know if it's okay that we compare ourselves to we're of the 4 counties, we're paying $600 and something thousand a year for a coroner's office that don't have any more people die than these people do, and there's more people in those counties, and I'm supposed to say it's okay. Mr. Robinson says it's okay to give them an extra $500,000. Well, why don't we put that $500,000 where it would help you? That's our job. It's not to help the coroner. The coroner's got a job. The coroner's got a job, and she gets paid twice as much as what's required by us to pay. And also, preacher, I'm a godly man too. And Martin Luther King said, if you want to find racism at its finest, go down to your neighborhood church. I don't think we ought to be racist. I don't think you ought to sit there and judge me because I'm white. I didn't take this job because I needed the money. I didn't take this job for any other reason that if you're going to complain about something, when it comes time and somebody says, will you take this job? And I first told him no. I told him someone else, and he said, I don't want him. I want you. I took it to try to help this county. I'm not against anybody in this county of color. Let me tell you what I know. I know that this county will be a Democratic county probably throughout my lifetime and my children and my grandchildren's lifetime. That's just the way it is. I don't have any problem with this county electing black folks or Democrats. That's part of it. When the Republicans were in charge, what did we do? We elected white folks, didn't we? We elected Republicans. I don't have a problem with the Democratic Party being in charge. What I have a problem with is sometimes we elect people that may not ought to have that job, and whether it's a Republican Party or a Democratic Party, we ought to have for lack of a better word, a moral committee in our Democratic Party and in our Republican Party, and we ought to look through these candidates and find out which candidates have the right kind of character to have this job, and that's who we ought to support. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. But I am offended that because I'm white, I'm going to mistreat you. That ain't going to happen. I'm not going to mistreat you no matter what. But I am, as long as I keep this job, and my job is to manage this budget and to take care of you folks, I am going to do the right thing. If it steps on somebody's toes that's got a budget 4 times bigger than it ought to be, that is my job to stand up and say, your budget's too big, get it reasonable. And if you want people to, well, I think I've said enough. But you people that are on this side that are attacking us or attacking me, you go right ahead. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. But I'm going to treat you right anyway because I'm a God-fearing man, and you go ahead and shake your little old head. I'm done. Anybody else? Commissioner Alcaraz.
Okay. Whew. All right, we'll start off here. I'll start off by just making sure that I don't want there to be any assumptions whatsoever. I did not ask for my budget to be cut. I'm not complaining about my budget being cut. It's just I have not spent as much as I needed in my budget, So if I haven't spent it, I would rather it go somewhere else where it's needed. But let me make that very clear. Not once have I asked the chairman or have I asked our county administrator to cut my budget. Make that clear. Second, I've sat down with the coroner, and she and I have really worked out her new facility, one that she's really going to like, and it's going to be a huge step up from what she's had. And she and I have sat down a couple of times and had great conversations and really worked that out. So, I have definitely reached out to my coroner to try and help her. CSB board. Again, I understand the chairman and the county administrator in regards to compliance. But two, let me, and Vice Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, because she and I both serve on this board. Do you know we are the only ones that funds that CSB board in regards to the city doesn't give them a dime and they use that service? I would implore you, and I'll tell you, I've got a lot of great friends on the city council. I do. But I implore you to go ask them to help fund it. They utilize the same service. Ask them to help chip in. It shouldn't just be all of us putting in the money when everybody uses it. It helps children in our school system. We got that youth center over there that is wonderful. It helps everyone from young to old. If you have not been over to see that facility, it is a very nice facility, and their vision going forward is great. But financially, how to get there and how are they going to continue it? We need others to also assist us because it shouldn't just always come from our county. To my seniors, I assure you that you've got quite a few of us up here who have your best interest in mind. We have sat down many times, and one thing, if it comes to anything about our seniors, I know that, and this is bipartisan. My peers have had many conversations with me in regards to we want more things for our seniors in this county. I want more things for my seniors in my district. But it's how do we get there? Everybody wanted public safety to be the number one thing. We got it there. We got them the raises. They're getting more employees. You're starting to see more deputies on the road. You're starting to see more people in jail. You're just going to get... Chairman got a long time, so you're going to have to give me just a moment.
I noticed that too.
There's nothing we want to cut, but it's the same as running a business. There's just certain decisions you have to make. And it was my understanding that we didn't cut anything because it was a question of mine in regards to transportation. So just please understand, I assure you, I have nothing against, any one of these departments trying to better themselves, but please understand there's decisions we got to make. A huge majority, as I believe all of us can say, we're for our seniors. But I also just wanted to make it very clear that I don't want there to be any assumptions that I just asked for my budget to be cut, but I'm okay with it because I have not utilized the budget that I had, and if I don't use it, then I really don't need to have it just for a rainy day fund. And I will yield back on that, Chairman, not yet. I'm going to ask all of us to please keep in mind, no matter how we go forward, we are a diverse community. And the best thing, what we should all do, everyone from both sides, I don't care who you are, what race you are, what Republican, what party you're from, it's going to have to come to a time we're going to have to coexist, and if we want to make this county better. If we're going to be, really, at what point are we going to stop with talking about race or talking about political party? At what point are we not going to say, hey, we all have certain mindsets that coincide with one another. We all want the same things. So when are we going to sit there, and those who keep carrying it on, when are we going to tell them, hey, stop. We can't be the example of the state when we're sitting there and having things like this. We need for them to sit there and say, look over there at Douglas County, can you believe that those Republicans and those Democrats are working together to make that county the best it can be? And look, believe it or not, they're actually getting along. A lot of people wouldn't think that we would get along. But I actually had my vice chair say in a meeting yesterday that she liked me. I had to pick at her about that, but anyway,
Amazing.
it is. But no, I get along with my peers. So anyway, at that, I'm going to yield, Chairman.
Just a minute. Back to the corners thing. The building that she was building, and she had this drawn out now, this is plans, was $4.9 million. We've cut it to 1.9, and it's still more than she needs today. I mean, she needs it, but there's room for growth, is what I'm saying. So that's our job, folks. And I'm not picking on the corner. It wouldn't matter if somebody had a budget 4 times what they needed. What am I supposed to do? Say, oh, they're good folks. Don't bother them. It's a small group of people. Mr. Robinson, how you doing?
So, again, this is what we're here for, though, guys. Out of all the meetings, this is our number one priority: set the budget. It's going to take what it's going to take, right? And this is what we all believe. And I thank you for using my words. Coexist. But nobody's opinion should be marginalized. My views and my values are my views and my values. I've been doing this too long. I know the difference. Now let's talk about this budget, because I just heard something. Now, I talked to the HR director. My aide will validate this. This is important. Did I just hear us say that the premium for the deputies was not paid based on that millage rate meeting we had? Can somebody answer this question for me? Did that go into effect? Yes or no?
Yes, it went in effect this year in 2023. So it's just automatically in 2024.
For the quarter, or whatever that period of time was. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
All right.
It was
Now, does it
October.
roll over into the new year?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, I just
Just
heard.
like everyone
I just
said.
heard a comment said that it wasn't in. I want to make sure, I want
No,
to
on
separate
top
what
of
we're
that-
talking about. I want to separate what we're
Yeah,
talking about. I
on
wanna
top of that, we received more requests for increases.
I just had to clarify. I get the above and beyond, but but you know where I'm going. An amendment to the budget was put forth, and the Board of Commissioners 3-2 went beyond what was presented on the paper, and so it went above. So what was that spread that went above at that moment? Can you tell me? $5 million.
Yes, it was 5.3.
All right, 5. Right, and so we were able to absorb that 5.3 million. Is that correct? Yes or no?
That is correct.
All right, and that's but at that moment for this quarter. Now going into the new year, seeing that how did we get there? Did we make it? Can you now annualize that $5.3 million hit? Do the math. I just increased it for a quarter. I increased your recurring revenue line item by 5.3 for a quarter. Now, you're going to annualize that. Explain to me how that now extends into a new year for 2024.
Okay. First, the 5.3 is annualized. Okay, it is. The increase was only for 6 pay periods. It was from October until December.
Okay.
And that was about 2 million or so. So the whole total for 2024 that's in the proposed budget is 5.3 million.
Okay, all right. So, but you answered my question. You separated two out. Have a heart attack. You can't override. No administrator can override the will of the board. I just had to get that real quick. All right, let me keep going. So again, guys, I do get it. I mean, it's math. You got $10 needs $1. I get it, and we got to figure out. And all we're going to argue about is really a penny. Most of this is already stacked, but we got to advocate for our districts. We got to advocate what we think is important. But there are some things that I think, as a process, the board for us should have known about this. Maybe some people did have their hands in it, but I'm just getting it for the first time, like last week, and I'm looking at this, and in finance committee, I couldn't approve this. It's like, no way. I'm looking at this ending fund balance. It took so long to get the question answered. It took me 3 meetings, What is our fund balance, guys? Why are we moving around? I heard the question about the 10. I'm like, okay, they ain't telling us our cash flow. I can't wait. Like, okay, this is my point. Follow the money. Can you float this thing? I know you hoping. Hope you don't raise the home values on this. Hoping and praying. Don't mess with that tax appraiser. Oh, float a 10. Oh, I may have to raise that millage rate. You cut too deep. You raised and you cut. Now, I appreciate the language. I have no choice but to say it because it would be my responsibility. It would be irresponsible. I get this sleight of hand. I hope it works out. And I'm deadly serious. Second thing I want to make a point, I'm taking my privilege, is we need more data. We're regressing in our transparency of data. And we're in a meeting today about transportation, like already burning down a SPLOS. I'm like, how you going to burn down a SPLOS that you haven't even accounted for yet? You're 6 months in. You didn't bond this. Who's in control of this? Where's my single view? Didn't the Board of Commissioners ask? Mr. Chair, it's one of those like, okay, your hand is going to get dealt to you. You're going to trust this and this to my citizens. Don't let them get away with this. Where's the transparency? If you're talking about Douglas County, Dale County, at least historically we've been transparent. Regardless, this is my 4th chair. It has always been transparent. Show the data, show the information. I'm going to yield for right now, Mr. Chair, because I think right now there are some ideas I've got regarding this. I agree with Commissioner. Last point. I still didn't get the question of why my expenses, and Ms. Bechtel, I'm with you. So I'm looking at my 207, and I'm looking at that expense account spreadsheet. I'm like, these numbers don't reconcile. Now, so I brought that up before. Don't give me a narrative. Show me the numbers. I keep getting it's like we're dealing with a lawyer. Don't tell me the law. Show me the law. So I'm looking at this. Look at it, y'all. I'm looking at, okay, the two don't add up, guys. I'm sure those who can count just as good as me, you got better vision than me. So I'm looking at this budget. So right now my outlook is it's not positive. I won't say it's negative. It's just it's neutral. Because right now I'm looking for a confidence of assurance, like, talk to me. And you ain't got to, but since we're this far apart, I can call it like I see it. So we got one more meeting on this. I'm going to come with some suggestions on how I think we can move some things around. I think we can get there. I am concerned about the SCSB. I mean, was it a $2.1 million? Is that what they're complaining about? That 2.1 in CSB? That's all he asked for. Is Director Roberts out there? Can he account for it? Because when I asked him the question, he said he didn't know nothing about it. He just says what he says to the finance and tell them his technical need, but in some kind of way this is translated. I now see this as an enterprise fund now. So can somebody talk to me about that? Why does it talk to me? Because that to the citizens, that looks like a reduction in services. Somebody talk to me.
Director Roberts is right here. I did have a conversation with him today, and Managing Director Solomon Rana is here. In my conversation with him today, what he told me is the reason why the number has decreased is because there was grant funding that he had to use, and he used that grant funding during this year, and it's used up. So basically, he won't need that grant funding next year. So the budget is not being decreased. It's simply just the grant funding has been expended, and he has enough to move forward for 2024.
Right, so what I'm hearing is that in that there will be no reduction in services, no reduction in routes. Everything will be status quo. Are y'all going to record to say that right now in front of them?
Yes, Commissioner, I can confirm there's no change to the operational budget, and there will be no changes in the services.
For the year?
Yes, sir, for the
Second
next
question is, have we got a new CMAQ grant? In other words, we got one for the first 3 years for a pilot program. We got an extension from the feds for, because of the COVID extension, CARES Act. Do we get a new CMAQ, and how will we continue to fund this? Remember, there's a match with that $2 million per year, $1.4 million, $1.6 million, $400,000. Can you reconcile that for me real quick?
Yes, sir. From my understanding, CMAQ is a grant that we get by default in Connect Douglas, and with our operations, and as we are evaluating our next operator with the current bid that was advertised, we will continue to get that, and our budget will support the match that we need.
We will continue to have it. Do we have a match? I heard them say earlier we do have a capital transportation fund. Is money in there to match this?
Right, so this would be coming out of our operational budget that helps our third-party operators. So we should have that match in our budget next year.
Okay, got it. I know we're looking at a third-party operator. I won't get into that. Don't need to know nothing about no vendors. All right, I'm going to yield for right now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Vice Chair Carthen.
Thank you. Last item, CSB. Chairman, I did hear you say that you would like for CSB to comply with ARPA funding. ARPA funding and what is this proposed general fund budget is two separate items. ARPA funding was that which was given from the federal government. This general fund funding is what we, the taxpayers, give in order to help them operate. Now, I do understand that our administration is working with CSB to help them reconcile that, but again, do not punish the citizens with our general fund for something that was given out of the federal funding. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. I think I would ask our county administrator to explain that so that you and we all could understand that.
Thank you, Chairman. Basically, premise right now is that there's a clawback feature. We may have to request that general fund or taxpayer dollars be used. We're trying to make that determination. Dollars need to be paid back out of the general fund and back into the ARPA account because of issues related to non-compliance. Commissioner Carthen stated, we're working diligently with CSB, and we have been for the last 6 months trying to reconcile those differences. Those differences cannot be reconciled. We'll be coming back to the board asking you officially to transfer that money back to ARPA to be reused. Part of it is coming from a federal audit process that we have to comply by the end.
Thank you. Any comments? Commissioner Robinson.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Duly noted. Some of it I'm going to pivot to the tax commissioner. And do we have Director Miller? Do you know if that was resolved with our tax commissioner yesterday? Let me pivot to our constitutional officers and their requests and their need. Can you talk to me about that? Did y'all get that resolved about their head count? The data's not right, all that stuff that, like, okay, because I'm going to weigh in, but I just want to hear, did y'all meet? Or will you meet?
Commissioner Robinson, we actually have a meeting scheduled with the tax commissioner tomorrow morning.
Right, so I'm going to defer that then. I'm going to allow y'all to have a chance to meet with the tax commissioner, see if y'all can get that reconciled. Some of it is, I'm going to come down to, it's all about communication. I've observed over the years. I've watched different type of administrations move. This one right now, Mr. Chair, it's in conflict. It doesn't move as smooth as it has in the times past. Nobody can tell me anything otherwise. And it's cantankerous because it can. It's like it's cold. It's not as kind. For the electeds not to work like we do, and a lot of it is staff is causing it. And then it cause us to clash. There's nothing you can tell me otherwise. You can't tell me that this is this and it's really that, because I have to see differently. And I'm like, wow, guys, work this out. When did this ever happen like this? When do we ever have to move like this? And this isn't a sign of a bigger societal now. This ain't just about Douglas. But it's something that I agree with Commissioner Alquist. Okay, I'm cool. I've always said we can coexist. But my comments were more about, yeah, but it's the narrative. It's how you speak to other people. Like, okay, back up now. The Second Amendment is a thin line between that first and second now. Because people are defensive by nature. They're going to defend themselves. So it's just the language. It's the marginalization of how you speak about a certain function. Well, I'm sharp. I'm surgical with mine. I try not to, but it's like, back up now. I'm very surgical. So I get it. And I know we can work through this. But again, I love this board because we're not attacking each other as times pass. I can work with these guys. Like, oh, I like this guys. They're going to be all right. They're going to learn this thing. Right, you got to learn this thing. Right, you got to go to training. You got to put some time into this thing. Show yourself study to be approved. But we're going to get through this. I'm still concerned about this budget I'm not quite convinced that we're where we're supposed to be. I keep poking on them because they ain't came clean. They keep dancing with me. You know, they're doing like this. It's like, okay, I don't want to pin them because I it's one of those like, all right, man, just talk to me. Because I can see what I can say. And other people are looking at it as well. Don't think that other people ain't looking at this. I want my staff to be well by this chair and administration period. Don't do what you're doing right now, which is showing sleight of hand. Y'all are hiding information. You're not as consistent.
We're not hiding information. I'm sorry, I
Quit
interrupted
cutting
you.
me off. Don't do that.
You quit accusing me
I'm not,
of
it's
hiding
not,
stuff.
it's not you. You're taking it personal. You've got to grow in this. This is not about you. This is about me talking to them.
Quit hiding stuff.
That's right. You're making it personal. You got to get over that now. This ain't about you. I keep telling you, this ain't about you. This is about our citizens. I'm trying to help y'all. Look at the data. Where is the consistency of the information? Where's the single view? How are you going to make a decision on the data? I'm helping. I'm not accusing. You're misreading this. Don't take this personal. It strengthens us. Don't accept this. You'll get your hand dealt. They'll rob this thing blind because you have no idea what they're doing. You trusting like this? Are you out your mind? I can forensically reimburse this thing. Like, guys, so just an encouragement is good. Mr. Chair, really, I'm cool with you. This wasn't about you. I appreciate your passion because I can receive you because I'm the same way. So we can coexist. I was just saying, guys, look out for it. To my younger peers, make sure you get the data now. That's all I got for you. It's all in love.
Thank you.
And I'll leave it at that,
too.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir. We're good, sir.
Well, I do. I like you a lot. We don't always agree, but all right. Does anybody else have any comments? No comments. The public hearing is. Sorry?
The public hearing is closed.
The public hearing is closed. Are there any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
When can we have our comments in? Roslyn, do you have a period of time that we can send our comments in on suggested changes, or are we going to debate these on the floor through amendment? Madam ACA or Madam Vice Chair, how would y'all like to handle this process?
We'll be reaching out to each commissioner after this meeting, incorporate comments and circle back with the chair accordingly.
Right, we're really going to be contacted, right? Y'all going to reach out for real, right? Okay.
We're done? The commissioners are scheduled to adopt the 2024 budget at the next meeting, December the 5th, 2023. We will now begin with our agenda items. Clerk, please begin with our business item.
Yes, sir. Under our new business, we have number 10, which is reappointment of Richard Jones and John McFall to the Cemetery Preservation Commission effective December 31st, 2023.
I move that we reappoint Richard Jones and John McFall to the Cemetery Preservation Commission effective December 31st, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
None.
Please prepare to cast your votes. We will do it by hand. All in favor?
Mm-hmm.
It came up. Go ahead.
Manuel, yes for Commissioner Robinson.
I vote yes also on mine. It's not coming up.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. We'll do the consent agenda now.
Number 11, authorization to approve an annual contract with Judicial Alternatives of Georgia, Inc. for misdemeanor probation services for state court and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Number 12, authorization to approve an annual contract with Judicial Alternatives of Georgia, Inc. for felony probation services for state court and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Number 13, resolution urging the governor and General Assembly of Georgia to continue efforts to reform and improve mental health services for the citizens of Georgia. Number 14, approval of an MOU with Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency for the use of Georgia EM Grants Manager System in relation to an upcoming cybersecurity grant award at no cost, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Number 15, approval of equipment proposal number 102623 with 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC to purchase two 2024 Ford ambulances at $216,274 each, for a total amount of $432,548 in connection with the previously approved Douglas Ford Reinvestment Plan, Phase 1, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we will now vote.
Manual approval, Madam Clerk. Yes, Mr. Robinson.
Yes, for Commissioner Dobbs as well.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. We have approval of expenses next. Do we have a motion to approve the expenses?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your vote.
Manual approval to approve. Commissioner Kelly Robinson.
Same for Commissioner Dobbs.
Motion carries 5-0.
We have a discussion item regarding a proposed ordinance by Vice Chair Carthen regarding minority business enterprise, the MBE program.
Chairman Miller, I ask that we postpone the discussion item for number 18, and we will put it on a future agenda to, as our county attorney and I discuss the language for the MBE program. Thank you.
Okay. Were you asking that we table it? Is that what you're asking, or postpone it?
It was just a discussion item, so you don't have to table it.
Okay.
No action.
All right. We have a few announcements this evening. Yvette Jones, our Chief Communications Officer, will come up and read our announcements.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and Board of Commissioners. I'm pleased to stand before you with a few announcements. Please join District 2 Commissioner Kelly Robinson for his annual State of the District address on Thursday, November 16th at 6 p.m. The address will be live streamed and broadcast live on DCTV 23. Tune in as Commissioner Robinson reflects on his legislative priorities, past, present, and future, and shares his vision for moving District 2 and Douglas County forward. Vice Chair and District 3 Commissioner Terenia Carthen, in collaboration with Splendors of Africa Incorporated, is hosting a free turkey giveaway on Saturday, November 18th from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. in front of the Douglas County Courthouse. This Thanksgiving season, let's come together as a community to ensure that every table is graced with a delicious turkey. Turkeys will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis, so mark your calendars and arrive early to secure yours. Let's make this holiday season a special one for all our Douglas County families. We look forward to seeing you there. And mark your calendars for Connect Douglas's Transit Master Plan Open House on Thursday, November 16th at 6 p.m. Learn more about the proposed transit recommendations that will help shape the future of mobility in the county. The event will be held at the Multimodal Transportation Center located at 8800 Doris Road in Douglasville, 30134. Light refreshments will be served. And Volunteer Douglas and the Youth Commission are joining forces for our annual Give Drive to support those facing food insecurity. Decorated boxes can be found at the following locations: the Lithia Springs Library, Douglas County Library, Dog River Library, Community Services Board, and the Douglas County Courthouse. Donations will be accepted now through December 16th. Non-perishable items such as hygiene products, diapers, baby formula, baby food, dry goods, and canned goods are needed. For more information, contact External Affairs at douglascountyga.gov. And Keep Douglas County Beautiful presents the second annual Battery Recycle. Citizens are encouraged to bring unwanted batteries to be properly discarded. Batteries should not simply be thrown away, as they pose environmental problems and risk harmful exposure to crops and drinking water. Please gather those unwanted household, car, and electronic batteries, as well as battery packs, and bring them here to the Douglas County Courthouse. That is now until November 17th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. For more information, please contact Amaji Stewart at 770-309-1212 or via email at istewart@douglascountyga.gov. And Douglas County would like to invite all of you to our annual Christmas concerts at the courthouse. The event is scheduled for weekdays, December 1st through December 14th from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. The concerts will take place in the first floor atrium of the courthouse, located right here at 8700 Hospital Drive. For more information, contact Wendy Cottle at kcottle@douglascountyga.gov or via phone 770-920-7440. And the annual Douglas County Christmas tree lighting will take place in front of the courthouse on December 7th at 6 p.m. For more information, contact Ms. Cottle at kcottle@douglascountyga.gov. And finally, Winter Wonderland Weddings, officiated by Judge Christina J. Peterson. The Douglas County Probate Court is hosting this complimentary group wedding ceremony with a reception to follow. All participants must be residents of Douglas County. To register, please email swallace@douglascountyga.gov. The ceremony will be held on 12/12 at 12 p.m. right here in Citizens Hall. The ceremony is free and open to the public. And that completes this week's announcements. I yield back to you.
Thank you, Yvette. Is there any other business to come before the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Robinson.
All right, one announcement. Thank you. Sound like church lady, Director. You're the announcements. I do want to highlight my State of the District this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. It's going to be from 6 to 7. You don't want to miss this. This will be my last one that I'll have. This is annual, but this will be my last one, of course. But I have some pronouncements to make. Unbridled, 1 hour, me and you. This is for the residents of District 2. For these 15 years, I greatly appreciate you, but you want to hear what I got to say. And it'll be one for the ages, and it'll carry us forward. So I look forward to it. Again, this coming Thursday, it is going to be virtual. It will be right here in our studio at 6 p.m. You'll be able to see it later on demand as you like to, but it'll be straight from my heart, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, sir.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Coleman, do we need to go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, there's no need to go into executive session.
What do you say? We don't? Okay, good. All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.